So I'll read out what Zimbabwean women want as part of our manifesto. So who are we? We're a group of Zimbabwean women that use feminism as our political standpoint, analytical framework, and guiding vision. We are committed to a liberatory project that encompasses political, social, cultural, spiritual, sexual, and economic transformation. We live and work in and outside Zimbabwe and have a shared vision of a Zimbabwe that embraces diversity and is inclusive. Where are we coming from? On the 11th and 12th of July 2018, Just Associates Southern Africa, together with the Institute for Young Women's Development, convened a national women's pre-election conversation to better understand the needs and demands of Zimbabwean women from different racial, class, ethnic, sexual orientation, and gender identities as we head towards Zimbabwe's 11th election. This manifesto is the outcome of our conversations on issues affecting our ability to exercise and enjoy our full human rights. The pre-election convening brought together women from across the country, and we deliberated on a number of issues affecting our ability to exercise the said rights. What is the problem? For 11 years, we've participated in elections that have rarely benefited us in a sustained way. In fact, things are getting worse for women on a daily basis. Our struggles and leadership are trivialized and invisibilized. Our bodies and sexuality are controlled through repressive laws. All forms of violence and personal attacks, online and offline, across the political and socio-economic divides. Many women have been silenced and pushed out of the public arena. We have non-functional, sexist, or gender-blind public services, which have exacerbated our unpaid care burden. Our marginalization has left us with unmet needs. Sexist slurs, verbal and physical violence, along with closing of secular space, have discouraged and frightened many of us from engaging in the public arena. Privatization of healthcare, education, water, and other public services mean that state is no longer upholding our basic human rights. Where does this leave us? As we move towards the 2018 elections, what do we want from public officials we will put in power? As Zimbabwean women, defining the Zimbabwe we want, we demand the following from anyone who wants to be our elected representative at all levels of governance. Firstly, we are demanding public services that work. We demand a Zimbabwe where public services are responsive to our rights and needs. This includes state provision of quality, responsive, accessible, and affordable childcare facilities, clean water and sanitation in both rural and urban areas, housing, refuse removal, quality health, affordable treatment centers and medicines, maternal health facilities for cancer and cervical screening and HIV treatment, and particularly sexual and reproductive care services. We also demand quality public education from early childhood education right through to tertiary, and social protection for the most marginalized and those made vulnerable and impoverished by the unjust macroeconomic system. We also demand economic justice. We demand a Zimbabwe where economic needs are met in a just and equitable manner, recognizing the inequalities that exist in our society that have excluded women from the mainstream economy. We demand equal access to and control of land and other productive resources. We also demand decent jobs, equal pay for equal work, better working conditions, and access to cash and finance. The state must actively eliminate the very wide economic inequalities and disparities in present-day Zimbabwe through a redistributive policy agenda. Younger women want an economy in which they can dream and thrive. We also demand our ability to exercise bodily autonomy. My body, my choice. We demand a Zimbabwe where all women in our sexual diversities and all people can fully exercise their sexual rights, bodily autonomy, and agency without fear of appraisal or attack. We also demand infrastructure that works. We demand a Zimbabwe where women have affordable, safe and quality housing, improved road and transportation networks, and street lights. We demand street lights that enable us to pursue livelihoods of our choice and live dignified lives. We also demand that as women in public life, as Zimbabwean women, where women have a right to participate freely and meaningfully in all decision-making spaces and processes. We want to exercise our rights as voters or as leaders without fear of any forms of violence, including verbal attacks. We want space to organize in our social movements and organizations. The state must stop persecuting our organizations and remove all legislation that has closed our space since 1980. Religious leaders and institutions, as well as the state, must keep their beliefs and values out of the public arena and off our bodies and choices. We want a secular state founded in fundamental human rights values, principles, and practices to which Zimbabwe has voluntarily acceded via the African Union and the United Nations. We also demand deep accountability. We demand a Zimbabwe free from militarization, where minerals and resources are used to enrich the country and its people. Decision-making on public rights, resources, interests, and services must be open and transparent so as not to seed, mislead, or expedite decisions in the interest of individuals, companies, or others. We also demand cultural production. A Zimbabwe where women are free to engage in the arts without fear of reprisals, and where their work in this sphere is valued and seen as a contribution to the legacy of Zimbabwe's history and the arts. This is our manifesto, which we will use to make our choices on the 30th of July. It is the tool we will use to judge the freeness, fairness, and credibility of the election. We will also use it to hold accountable anyone elected to lead Zimbabwe at all levels from August 2018 onwards. We are here, we are watching, we will vote, and we will hold you accountable.